Robin is coming to Honkai Star Rail and slated to be the next character as a 5-star physical harmony unit. With the latest livestream and the video they just released yesterday, we can finally look into how good she will actually be. Will she have a broken kit? Is she worth pulling? What teams does she work well in? We're going to discuss all this and more as we welcome Robin into the world of Honkai Star Rail. Let's do this. First, let's briefly just discuss the overall design and polish of Robin as a character. Story-wise, we know that she's pretty prominent and that we're going to see a lot more of her in the upcoming patches. I'm always a fan of the musical characters in games, and Robin is amazing in this regard. I mean, she even has a whole album dedicated to her, and the songs have all been great. As for Robin's kit, we can see that she provides a lot of utility to herself and the team as a whole, including a bunch of extra damage. Overall, she's a pretty simple character and should be very versatile in her team synergy. Her basic attack is of course basic, just deals physical damage to a single enemy target. Robin's skill, Pinion's Aria, increases damage dealt by all allies for a certain number of turns, and it'll decrease at the start of a Robin turn. Robin's talent, Tonal Resonance, increases all allies crit damage, and after allies attack enemy targets, Robin additionally regenerates energy for herself. But Robin's most important move is her ultimate, Vox Harmonique Opus Cosmique. And that's a pretty cool name. When Robin uses this ultimate, she enters the Concerto state and allows all allies to immediately take action. As if that wasn't enough, after every attack launched by allies, Robin will deal additional physical damage based on her attack that's guaranteed to crit. While this field is activated, Robin's immune to CC debuffs, and she won't take another action until her field is over. Plus, this field goes into the action order, so we know exactly when it'll end. It has a fixed speed, and even has bonus effects when you include her major traces, which we will discuss right after we talk about her technique. Robin creates a dimension around her that lasts for a certain period of time. Enemies inside this will not attack Robin, and will just be captivated and follow her around. Entering the battle with this field active gives Robin additional energy. Colorashura Cadenza, which is really fun to say, immediately advances forward Robin's action when the battle begins. Now here's an interesting one. Impromptu Flourish, while in the Concerto state, increases all allies crit damage dealt when launching follow-up attacks. We're going to be discussing this in the team synergy section for sure. And the last major trace is Sequential Passage. When using skill, additionally regenerates energy. So how good is this kit and all of these traces? The first thing we can see is that Robin has a lot of built-in energy regen, which makes a ton of sense because that ultimate is her best move and does so much stuff. Since that skill is going to last some turns, we don't need to spam it every time, so she'll already be innately SP positive. So the main focus will definitely just be getting that ultimate onto the field as much as you can. At any given time that the skill is up and you use the ultimate, she's going to be giving an attack boost, bunch of crit damage, she advances everybody forward on the use of her ult, she is completely immune to CC in the Concerto state, and she does physical damage that is a guaranteed crit every time an ally attacks while regenerating more energy. That's a whole lot of stuff that she does, and it's going to be insane to see in Memory of Chaos, Pure Fiction, and Simulated Universe. Just the action forward itself from the ultimate is going to be crazy for these game modes, and you'll be doing a lot more damage to the enemies just because of all the crit damage and attack buffs that she does give. With all of that, she's definitely going to be a pretty easy slot in for most teams for any of the content, and I fully anticipate that she's going to debut as one of the best characters in the game. Now let's talk about some team synergies. As we can see in this video, Robin is currently being used with a full follow-up attack team. I think the devs know what they're doing, making Topaz the rerun that's alongside her banner. But don't forget about that Impromptu Flourish major trace that we talked about earlier. In previous videos, I was talking about how follow-up attack teams were really starting to get some stock. Of course, we just got Hot Gambler Man and he's still going on, but Robin's best team also looks like it's going to be follow-up. Obviously, we don't know any of the specific numbers yet, but if you want a harmony unit that's perfectly tuned into the follow-up attack team, you should definitely be pulling for Robin. And of course, that's not the only team she's going to be amazing in. Let's play pretend here for a second and say that Ting Yun is going to be our Robin. She's still going to be really good in those hyper-carry DPS teams that have been so prevalent for so long, and units like Dong Hung and Baibuder Lune and Jing Liu are really going to appreciate that. Nihility teams will also be fine for Robin. They all really want attack, even if Kafka and Black Swan don't really want crit, like Acheron does. All of you monophysical enjoyers can also rejoice, because we have good physical DPS like Argenti, Clara, or of course the best one of them all, Physical Trailblazer. Wait, did I really write that in the script? Okay, jokes aside, don't forget we're also slated to getting a hot cyborg cowboy man who's coming in the second half of this patch. We can also quickly discuss how easy it is to build Robin since she should be fairly simple. We already talked about how she should be fairly SP positive as her skill lasts 3 turns and her ultimate's going to be the primary focus of her kit. With this in mind, we're going to want to build her to the correct speed breakpoint, at least to that 134 number. If you want her to be even more SP positive, of course you can stack the speed, or you can also speed tune in order to be 1 to 2 speeds slower than your DPS in those compositions. She is going to want a bit of attack, both for her damage as well as the boost that she gives everybody else, similar to that of a Ting Yun. And since there's currently no indication that her crit damage boost applies based off of her crit damage, we won't need to worry about that as much as a Sparkle or a Bronya. With all of that in mind, it's just going to be important to make sure we have those speed breakpoints, the attack, and then make sure she has enough HP and defense for whatever content we're doing. Some effect resistance can help, but we obviously know that she's fully immune to CC while she's in that concerto state. And since we want her to be using that ultimate as much as possible, we are going to want that energy regen wherever we can get it. With this in mind, I'll most likely be using the 4-piece messenger set, as I do with most of my supports, but you could also throw in some musketeer set if you want that extra attack. Similarly for your planar ornaments, as is the usual with any supports, you can run Broken Keel or Fleet of the Ageless, although for Robin I'm personally going to use Broken Keel since she already gives so much attack boost. Depending on how tanky you want your Robin, you could even run a defense or attack orb, but you're almost definitely going to want to use that energy regen rope. Now that we're done with all that guidey stuff, let's get into her banner and see how valuable it is. Compared to Aventurine's banner, Robin has a bit more value depending on your priorities. March 7th, Hanya and Zuehi are the featured 4-star characters. March 7th is fine and all, but the real value is going to be mostly in Hanya and Zuehi. Unless you're like me, and you already have an E6 Zuehi from the first time she was on a banner. Overall a pretty solid banner, just like her light cones. And we now know what her light cone is going to do. Flowing Night Glow has an effect called Pacify. The wearer gains 1 stack of Cantillation every time an ally attacks. Each stack increases the energy regen rate by 3% up to 5 stacks. For all you expert mathematicians out there, that's 15%. When the wearer uses their ultimate, it removes Cantillation and gains Cadenza, which increases the wearer's attack by 48 and team damage by 24%.
That's a lot of damage!
Overall, it's a pretty good light cone for Robin and Ting Yun, but not a lot of other supports really need attack for themselves. But the energy regen and the damage is still great. The other 3 cones on the banner are Perfect Timing, Swordplay, and the new one, Boundless Choreo, which has that amazing art of that dance between Acheron and Black Swan. It's a 4-star Nihility light cone that increases the wearer's crit rate by 8%. The wearer deals 24% more crit damage to enemies that are currently defense, reduced, or slowed. So it's a pretty solid light cone for Acheron, especially if you're running her with Pela or Welt. Although it has pretty much no use on Black Swan or Kafka since they do not want crit. Perfect Timing is a solid abundance cone if you have high effect res, and Swordplay is a decent hunt light cone if you hit the same enemy 5 times, giving you the 40% damage increase. There's also some value in noting that Topaz is the rerun and Worrisome Blissful is there, but overall it's a pretty decent banner to try and pull on and has some value. But sadly, I have some bad news. Of course I want to pull for every character, I always want the shiny new character. But I have to stay strong this time, I have to skip Robin. And you definitely shouldn't try to convince me in the comments because I probably will break and spend all my gems and then I won't get the Samfly Eidolons that I want to get. But Honkai Star Rail needs to stop releasing such good characters because I am behind on the ones I have. Granted, I don't really have any follow-up attack units really built on my account right now, but support isn't really the issue for my units. I already have who I personally think is the best character in the game, being Ruan Mei. I won my 50-50 on Sparkle, and I picked Bronya on that 300 choice you get on the regular banner. Throw all of them in the picture with an E6 Ting Yun, and while I do really like Robin, I can't justify pulling for her with all of the other cool characters coming out. However, that is of course only just for my account, and yours may be totally different. Will I regret this decision? Almost certainly, but I really want to get Sam on 2.3 and some Eidolons for that character. but feel free to let me know if you're going to pull for Robin in the comments. As a final note, make sure if you do pull her that you have enough of the correct materials in order to build her traces and awakenings. We already have confirmation that her Echo of War material is going to be the past evils of the borehole planet disaster, so make sure you got 12 of those. 65 is once again going to be the magic number for the new awakening material, IPC Work Permit. That of course comes out in 2.2, so you can't quite get it yet, but you can get her current trace materials. They're the same as Sparkles in that Bud of Harmony, the Celestial Selection, Heavenly Melodies. In review, Robin is going to be an absolutely insane unit that can give value for any player. Her buffs, her damage effects are going to be ludicrous inside of the endgame content, and she's going to synergize with lots of different teams, especially since she's got that extra spicy sauce for the follow-up attack teams. She's going to be a really easy plug-and-play character, and building her shouldn't be too bad. But let me know what you think about Robin in 2.2 as a whole in the comments below. I personally can't wait for this patch, and I am so ready to continue this fantastic story. In the meantime, like the video if it helped, and subscribe and follow for more Honkai Star Rail. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Good luck in your polls, and bye for now.